Hey everybody, appreciate you hopping on the call today. We're excited to have you all to talk some more about Zyxel. Today we're going to be talking about Zyxel and their cloud networking solutions. We're excited to have Tri and Sean from Zyxel to take us through this information. And we'll also have Wendy Shelton from D&H on how you can contact us to learn more about this or potentially purchase this product. Also, as you'll see in your screen, there's a Q&A chat box in there. Feel free to throw some questions in there that you have. I'll be monitoring throughout the hour that we're on the call here, and we can answer them either during or after, depending on how the question looks. Without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Tri and Sean, and we'll get this thing going.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. Welcome again. My name is Tri Nguyen. I'm the sales and product manager for Zyxel North America. And I do have Sean Rogers on the call as well, and he's the product manager for our Nebula and wireless solutions. And so I wanted to pose the question, right off the bat. How many of you have heard of Zyxel before? So just as a quick thing, make sure you're awake and here with us today. Just click yes or no if you've heard of Zyxel before. And if you have, then obviously click yes. And if no, then click no. That kind of helps me set the stage and bar of who is here, how many of you guys have heard of us and kind of how we tailor our message to you as well. So let's see how many of you answered. So 57% of you have answered yes. So that's quite a lot of you. And that's good because we know then D&H has always been an investment in Zyxel solutions and talking about our brand and our solutions. And so hopefully for those who have said no, we can give you some more information about who we are. So Zyxel Networks has been around now for 35 years. We've been working with businesses and resellers and system integrators and managed service providers, making 100 million device connections over 150 markets worldwide. We have over 700 employees within Zyxel Networks, and over 1 million businesses work with Zyxel solutions today. So that's just a quick, kind of summary of who we are, but some more things about what we do. So we are a hardware manufacturer of networking equipment. So we make anything that connects to a network. So firewalls, access points, switches, and a lot of any other kind of devices for fiber, PoE, those kinds of things. But one of the main selling points that we offer, the secret sauce, you would say, is in our Nebula Cloud solution. So what's the difference between what you might be using today, just traditionally managed networking versus kind of a cloud networking solution? So Zyxel has created and made what we call Nebula, and it's the first full stack cloud networking solution made for this SMB. It was launched back in 2016. We have a complete product portfolio of switches, gateways, access points, firewalls, PoEs, all of that, UTMs, security, even some LTE devices as well, all manageable in the cloud. You can, of course, still use it within maybe your traditional break fix as a standalone type product, but we find the power and the uniqueness in what we do in the cloud. This has 61 products, but now it's actually over 100 products that are currently supported in our Nebula Cloud platform. And so I have Sean Rogers here to talk a little bit more about why it's important or why this solution is important for maybe somebody who's looking to become an MSP, or maybe things that you are already integrating within your solutions for networking, but maybe struggle with how do I manage all those things? How do I, handle all these different devices, maybe from different vendors, and kind of put it together into a solution? Or who do I go with? And this complete solution with Nebula can provide for that. So Sean?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sean here at Zyxel. Before I talk about the slides, I do want to apologize in advance. I am currently suffering through one of my worst hay fever seasons I've had in years, so I am sucking on a cough drop and may need to pause from time to time as we go through these slides. Without further ado, though, let's start talking about Nebula. So the first thing I want to take a look at here, and we're just going to go through this slide really quick, is just that all the things that go into setting up and deploying a network for a new customer, whether this is a new build or you're going in and needing to upgrade what they've already got with a complete overhaul. So sort of the idea behind Nebula is to take all of these things and simplify it, making it so you have to buy less physical product to set up the network, so you're spending less time needing to set up and configure that equipment, spending less time on effort in setting up remote access, monitoring, log storage, etc. So at the end of the day, by using Nebula to deploy your networks, you're saving yourself both time and money. So now we'll start going through some of the features of Nebula itself. So Nebula is basically a single pane of glass that allows you to manage all of your switches, access points, and security routers made by Zyxel. So it's been designed from the ground up to make it easy for you to manage multiple customers, or make your customers easier for them to manage their customers, and to manage multi-sites. So really easy to go through there. One of the cool features with Nebula is you can start configuring your hardware without ever having to remove it from the box. Basically, with Nebula, at any point, you can go to nebula.zyxel.com. You can set up a customer, you can start setting up your site, and once you've gotten the networking hardware from D&H, you simply need to scan the QR code that can be found on the outside of most boxes or on the belly label of the product and assign it through that Nebula interface to a customer. And from that point on, you can do full configuration of the device itself. At no point do you need to take the device out of the box and manually configure anything on the Nebula compatible device. And to make things easier for you is we do have a Zyxel app. Now the app is not where you're doing most of your management. These are, complex business networks. So most management is going to be done through the web interface. However, we do have the mobile app, which allows you to keep an eye on what's going on, provide the ability to remotely do some troubleshooting, as well as make some very basic configuration changes. The app was also specifically designed to make it easy for installers out in the field. It has the ability through the app to scan those QR codes to assign them to your customer on their site. And it gives you the ability to take photographs of where you're installing the hardware so you have reference for where each individual piece got put at the time of installation. So in order to use Nebula, you simply have to buy Nebula compatible hardware. There's no additional hardware that needs to be bought. There's no cloud keys. There's no CNA devices. There's no software that needs to be set up. There's no virtual machines that need to be installed, no servers. The ability to communicate with our Nebula cloud is baked into the hardware itself. There's nothing else that's going to be needed. So basically, once your network is on, anywhere you have access to an internet connection and a web browser, you have access to all of your customers and all of their Nebula compatible equipment. So we'll talk about some of the features that are built into the core version of Nebula here. So it does have the ability to do built-in user management. So if you don't want to go through the hassle of setting up your own Radius or 802.1x authentication server, we do have a cloud-hosted database that you can use. You can use that for 802.1x authentication. You can use it for captive portal users logging in. You can even use it for things like MAC address filtering. Guest access is also built into our hardware, not just the gateways, but on the access points themselves. So it gives you the flexibility to provide a full captive portal guest network using our access points, even if your customer is not using a Zyxel gateway to control the network. The captive portal redirect, NAT functionality, and other security and isolation features are built into the APs themselves. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, whether you're simply looking to provide guest access to vendors who are visiting, or whether you're looking to run a public hotspot, such as at a coffee shop or a small hotel. So we have the ability to host the captive portal page ourselves in Nebula, and we give you some easy tools to configure that. If you need more configuration, we give you the code that you can cut and paste into your own hosted website, so you can add additional features or data into the captive portal. And our captive portal allows you to just do a simple terms of service, to require users log in with a username and password, to allow users to register and create their own username and password, or even to allow Facebook login to get access to that hotspot network. Now, when it comes to Nebula, there is no local configuration. Everything is done through the cloud and pushed out over the air. So all configuration changes are done through our Nebula cloud, firmware updates, everything. So there's no need to go on site and no need to set up remote access to be able to directly access the hardware itself. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass this over to Troy to talk a little bit about some of the functions for switches inside the Nebula interface.
Yeah, great. So with our switches, again, what Sean just iterated is that you don't necessarily have to use the entire stack. You have the option of choosing one or all. Of course, we prefer that you do use the entire stack because we feel like managing everything under your single pane of glass makes it easier for you to troubleshoot. There's no longer any finger pointing. You know what's happening on the network as you're delivering your applications. And so what the switches provide for you is a visual representation, a virtual stack, information on what's happening on every port. You can literally drill into every one of those ports to find out more information, how much bandwidth is being used, how much PoE power is being used, and then drill into that to see, is it an access point that's connected to it? And then drill into that access point to look at the clients that are connected to that access point. So a lot of that information gives you that real-time information, real-time port information, as well as give you control. So being able to power cycle specific ports to potentially reset maybe a phone or a camera or an access point, being able to do that remotely, quickly and easily without having to roll a truck out there to physically pull anything out or having somebody reboot the entire switch and taking everything down. You can do that within the Nebula interface, including diagnostic tools like remote cable testing and even fiber testing to kind of verify if there's anything wrong with that cable or that connection. So again, helps you to that to do your initial troubleshooting without having to roll a truck. It also provides network resilience and security within our switch network there. Ports, user-based security, 802.1x, like Shauna mentioned, access control lists for user-friendly ACLs, auto network protection with loop guard, DHCP card. If you've ever had anybody who has an open port on their in their office, the likelihood of them accidentally connecting their own private router or something like that could be a security hole. And so, or they might be putting the DHCP side or the LAN side of that router into your network and causing havoc. So we can actually block and detect that and prevent that from happening. And it's all about making sure that the network is resilient, making sure that it's always available, since our connectivity is important in our day-to-day work. If that connectivity in the switch network is down, that means your access points are down, means that your communication or your voice network is down. So we have additional functions like link aggregation, RSTP, and different switch routing functions that are there that can to help facilitate that network being pushed through. And did we mention that Nebula was free? I don't think we did exactly, but Nebula in itself is free. So Sean, tell us a little bit more about what is Nebula Flex and how that is beneficial to vendors or to partners.
Sure. So when we started doing Nebula, we copied the Cisco Meraki model, where traditional management was done through Cisco hardware. Cloud management, you had to buy Meraki hardware. We had a separate Nebula and non-Nebula lines of product. So we've gotten away from that and now offer what we call Nebula Flex. What that simply means is that our hardware has the ability to either be managed standalone or managed in the cloud. So there are not separate SKUs. A customer can standardize on certain models of hardware and use them whether or not that same hardware, whether or not they're going to use local management or cloud management. Now, putting our hardware into cloud mode, I know with some other vendor solutions out there that do dual mode, you have to log into the device and point it at the cloud or enable a cloud mode. For us, you don't have to do that. By default, the hardware out of the box is in standalone management mode. And then if you want to manage it in the cloud, you simply log into the Nebula interface, scan in that QR code, and you will your device will automatically reboot itself after a minute or two into cloud mode and download the configuration that you've set for it through the cloud. If at any point you decide you no longer want to manage it in the cloud, you want to put it back in standalone mode, you simply remove it from your Nebula inventory and the device will automatically reboot in standalone mode and factory default itself for the settings.
Wanted to pose the question, to everyone here. Do you primarily manage your customer networks directly, or do you prefer in the cloud? So you either are directly managing it on the device, so you're logging into the GUI interface there and just making the configurations kind of a one-time set it and forget it type scenario. And then if there's something happens and you have to go back in to make that configuration on the device itself, or are you managing now in some sort of cloud platform, or are you doing maybe some scripting or CLI that's doing it within the cloud? And that's what I would consider cloud, something remotely that is kind of mass managing. Or are you just not managing them at all? You just are selling it to your customers, you let them configure it, you let them manage it. Or maybe you might just initially set it up, but then that's it, and that's all you do. So let's find out. About 60% of you are managing it in the device. Okay, so there's a lot of you that have not, I guess, adopted the cloud. And so this is maybe something that might be interesting for you, and maybe something that I would encourage for you to at least to go into and look at. There may be certain reasons that we do know that there are certain applications that, cloud management is a security issue, maybe in that concern, even though we know that it's not the way that we do our kind of our management and our communications with the devices, and Sean will touch on that. But we do encourage you to get into that, and we do have some programs that I'll talk about in a little bit on how you can get your hands on and test out this cloud platform.
All right, so this is going through our licenses for using Nebula. So you'll see there, the first one is called the base pack. That is the free level of Nebula. So with the free version of Nebula, you get access to all the main core features of your hardware. You get access to the ability to manage through the Nebula cloud an unlimited number of customers, an unlimited number of sites, and an unlimited number of devices. So there is nothing that you have to pay to be able to use Nebula. The free version is very full featured, and as you saw, there are no limitations when it comes to customers, devices, sites, things like that. It is what the majority of our customers are using, but we do have some optional licenses which unlock additional features. We have the Plus Pack, which for the most part just simply adds email alerts when devices go offline and a few extra admin accounts. The main add-on that we sell is the Pro Pack. So the Pro Pack license is aimed primarily at those who are providing some form of managed services and trying to provide proactive management of their customers' sites. Cost is very affordable. It's less than $30 per device per year. And it unlocks things like a year's worth of logs stored in the cloud automatically, an audit trail that's kept tracking who makes which configuration changes and when. It unlocks an unlimited number of admin accounts per customer that you're managing, and a number of other tools that make it easy for you to manage your network, such as our artificial intelligence on the wireless LAN. So it will monitor the quality of connections of the wireless users. And if it sees users having issues, it can automatically go through and make corrective changes to your wireless network to try to solve those issues. So on top of the, yeah, go ahead, Try.
Rodney did have a great question. They ask, as a partner, how do you make money using the cloud app? And so that's a great question. So the cloud app, like just Sean said here, is the base pack is free. So in an essence, you could already be providing services that have visibility into the network, that rather than just a break fix, you actually have an active management kind of scenario that you can provide to your customers. So even at a baseline monthly fee for you to keep an eye on their network, you can let them know when things are down, or you would know when things are down or how you could troubleshoot it and fix it. And based on if you're more of like a managed service or want to get into the managed service space, the Pro Pack makes a lot of sense, because then it gives you audit logs, like Sean mentioned, and the 365 days logs and all that AI functionality that you can upsell to your customer and say, hey, I'm going to give you active management of your network. So if you have VPN questions, you need wireless issues, or you have new SSIDs you want to create, those are things that now you can inject and put it as part of your support plan. And that $30, it sounds like a lot initially, but how I break it down is the $30 per device is about $2.50 a month. And so you can imagine, let's say a doctor's office, you have a firewall, a switch, and an access point in a simple small doctor's office. That's $7.50 in terms of pro cloud licensing, which you can actually charge whatever you want for the service. So a lot of our partners, if they're adding security functionalities, are charging $50 to $100 a month to do active management, so that they can maintain PCI compliancy, HIPAA compliancy, all of that kind of stuff for that customer. So that's how really you can make the money on the cloud portion of it. And of course, as a partner with Zyxel, you also are getting tier discounts as well on the hardware piece and on the cloud portion as well. So the street price that I mentioned, that's what your end user would pay kind of on the street, but you would be already getting a rebate through D&H as you purchase the hardware and the software. A good question. Sorry for interrupting. I just want to make sure
No
I answered
problem.
that.
So the other type of license we have is a user license. So the Plus and Pro Pack are device licenses. Basically, every device in that for that customer, you add a Plus or Pro Pack license, and it upgrades the organization to Plus or Pro Pack. The MSP license is for a admin user, usually the company owner, and then maybe you buy one or two for the head admins, and it unlocks some additional features, as the name implies, that are sort of MSP oriented for those users and for all the sites that those users manage. So it gives them the ability, for instance, to have access to what we call the MSP view, which is sort of a snapshot overview of all of their customers and what's currently the status of all their networks. It gives them the ability to create admin teams. So if you've got a large team of employees that are going to be managing your customers, it makes it easier for you to manage who has access to which customers and which sites. Makes it easy for you to add and remove people as they come and go. And it unlocks some additional features, such as the ability to get push notifications when devices go offline for all organizations, regardless of whether they're Plus, Pro, or Base Pack. And the ability to do things like replace our branding in the Nebula interface with your company's branding, to replace our contact information with your company's contact information, etc. So the way licensing works when it comes to Plus and Pro Pack is that it is done on an organization basis. So you, as the VAR or the reseller or the MSP, you have one master account, and then you will usually create these organizations underneath you, one for each of your customers. So in order to upgrade one of these from the free version of Nebula to the Plus or Pro Pack, you have to add a license for each device. And then once each device has a license, it will then convert the org from the free version to Plus or Pro based on which license you had used. So you do need a license for each device for that customer, but you can have a mix of Plus, Pro, and free customers that you are managing at the same time. When it comes to our hardware, you will see hardware listed as either Nebula Flex or Nebula Flex Pro. The top row there is our Nebula Flex products. The bottom is our Nebula Flex Pro. And the only difference is Nebula Flex Pro products come bundled with a 1-year Pro Pack license. You don't have to use it, and of course you can always buy the license separately if you're buying the Nebula Flex hardware on the top. But the short, quick summary, I'm guessing you're not going to remember this, but the short version is our access points that start with the letter N, those are Nebula Flex. Those that start with the letter W, those are Nebula Flex Pro. When it comes to our switches, the 1915 and basically the 1900 series switches, those are Nebula Flex. And then those that are the 2200 series, the 3800 series, and our oddball 1350 series, those are Nebula Flex Pro. And then when it comes to our security products, if you're buying a standalone or Soho security router, it is Nebula Flex. And if you're buying one of our security appliances that comes bundled with UTM licenses, it will also include the 1-year Pro Pack license. We have a question here. Let me go ahead and see what that is real quick from Care Edwards. To confirm, if we stay in standalone mode, we will not pay any monthly fees. Right, so there are no fees for managing your devices the traditional way using web browser, SSH, whatever your particular management flavor. So there's no fees for that. And if you do want to use Nebula to do your management, as long as you're sticking with the free version of Nebula, there are no fees for that as well.
So there's no reason for you to not kind of use the cloud management, because it gives you then a lot of these benefits there. In addition, if you are on Pro Pack, for example, or a Plus Pack, and if the license expires, we don't brick your device. We just push you back down to the base pack. So you just go back to base pack until you renew the license for that customer. Then you'll go back to Pro Pack. So that's one big difference that we have in our Nebula platform.
So this slide that's up here now is showing you the differences between the free, the plus, and the pro pack. So just to highlight here, cloud management, single pane of glass for management, access to Google Maps integration, full configuration, monitoring of your devices. That's available across all flavors. All flavors give you our zero-touch auto deployment where there's no direct configuration you need to make to the hardware itself. Over-the-air management, including firmware updates included across the board, access to our mobile app available across the board, access to core features such as 802.1x authentication, captive portal, etc., available across the board. Where we see some differences is when it comes to how much logs are retained by us. So the free version of Nebula, we only keep 24 hours worth of logs stored in the cloud. Plus Pack gives you a week's worth of logs. Pro Pack gives you a year worth of logs. We also, of course, do support syslogs. You can always, if you're using the free version of Nebula and need more than 24 hours, you can always export your logs into syslog and be able to manage and view your logs that way. When it comes to admin accounts per organization, so again, you as an MSP or as a VAR, you will have multiple organizations, usually one per each customer you have. So the free version of Nebula, you have 5 admin accounts per organization, plus Pack 8, Pro Pack, an unlimited number. And then if you're wanting to use our cloud authentication server, free version has 50 entries in the database, plus Pack 100 entries. Pro Pack is an unlimited number of entries. And then just here, I'll just highlight here some of the main features of Pro Pack. We've already touched on some of these. The audit logs stored in the cloud, the ability to synchronize configurations between different sites under an organization, or the ability to clone existing sites when you're creating a new site, the ability to basically make backups of your configuration to be able to restore to previous configurations. That's a Pro Pack feature. The Wi-Fi health monitoring and AI management, that is a Pro Pack feature. We have a similar feature on the switch side of things for those doing IPTV features. And then if you're using our 1350 range of switches, which are a line of switches designed for those specifically doing IP camera installs, those extra bonus features, those do require Pro Pack. So before I hand it off to Tri, I think there was a couple questions here. Let me see what these are real quick. So Kara was asking, in standalone mode, how long are logs retained in the unit? So Tri, I don't know if you have a better answer for me than this, but I think it depends on the hardware, but in general, not much is retained in the unit.
Yeah,
it will depend on the specific model, how much extra memory it has.
Most of the logs typically are held, let's say for a firewall, is held within the memory, and so there is a limited set. It all depends on how much or how many things that you're flagging to be logged. So typically in a security appliance, we would push that to a syslog server, or if you're using a standalone, to a syslog server of your choice. Or we also offer what we call Secu Reporter, which is a security syslog server that it pushes all those syslogs to, digests it, gives you a kind of a report on it as well, which is actually my next slide. So that's what it kind of looks like on the left there. It gives you that information, the logging on kind of threats and attacks. Now from like the wireless perspective and the switch perspective, those ones typically have minimal logs as well. And so you again, if you want to store that or get longer term, you either have to use it within our cloud platform or send it to your own syslog server. Does Nebula, Michael does ask also, does Nebula have any security features? So from the Nebula itself, in that point of view, yes, when you do use it with our security platform, with our security hardware, then it does provide you a full suite, which I'll be talking about. The APs themselves also have what we call connect and protect. So at the AP level, it can actually do, DNS reputation, IP reputation functionalities for security at that endpoint. So you can enable security, I guess you can say, with that, along with encryption, VPN, or 802.1x authentication for Wi-Fi, or WPA2, WPA3 for security on the wireless side. On the switch side, there's also 802.1x or other like MAC address blocking or MAC binding that you can do to increase port security on those devices as well. Andrew also asks, is there an enterprise edition to Nebula? I guess Pro is kind of the highest. I would say maybe enterprise is almost like that MSP license that you would get, because it kind of encompasses across the board, across different organizations, to manage, on a larger scale of customers. So if you want to, again, like Sean's mentioned, divide your techs into regions, then they only get alerting from those customers in those regions. You can set that up with that MSP type license. I'm not sure what context, Doug, on your question, because you asked what ETA on that. I'm not sure which is the context there. So I'll let you ask that question again. So I'm going to move on about security. So some of you did ask about security. So our security appliances got you covered from every kind of angle. It's networking that protects your network and your users. It's able to maintain the latest signatures, get information, but also become an endpoint security, like I just mentioned. We have what we call collaborative defense and detection and response, CDR, that allows for us, when you do use our access point with, like our pro access points with our gateways, our security firewalls, it can communicate with each other to detect if somebody is potentially compromised and be able to take action, either block or to isolate the user from the network to prevent kind of further spread. And then the connect and protect feature that I mentioned, that allows for you to then at the access point level provide some layer of security. Oh, Doug asked about the 5G, if we have 5G modems being certified in the US market. Currently, we do have the product, but they're not certified for the US market yet. So we are still waiting for information on that. So once we get that, if that happens, then we'll let you know about that, Doug. Thank you for asking that again. So that's really where we provide that information as support. One key benefit that we do is a lot of you asked about syslog servers and how to do that even in standalone. Well, if you're not using the cloud, you should use what we call SecuReporter. SecuReporter is also still integrated within the Nebula platform, so that you can get to that. But it's all the security logs, information, all the threats, monitoring information goes to this kind of this interface, and it collects those logs, digests it. The benefit to this is for you as a partner to justify to your customers why you're charging them, a monthly fee for security services, right? It's like insurance. How do I know I'm protected? Okay, well, it's on a policy, but I hope that when the time comes, it's going to actually protect me. This system and this reporting allows for you to showcase that to your customers. So imagine every month you can release to your customers a report that says, how much bandwidth are you using? Which websites are visited the most? Which employee or which device is using the most bandwidth? How many ransomware or malware blocks did we do, from the networking side, or that we've detected? So it becomes something that becomes very quantitative, that they can look at and say, hey, if I want to continue the service, this is the protection I'm getting. And if I decide I don't want the protection, this is what I'm going to be at risk for. So it can identify abnormal user behaviors as well with the kind of the AI that's there. I mentioned that you can customize the report, so you can put your logos, you can put in the widgets what you want to display for that customer that's pertinent to them, that they want to know. And then you can switch it between, again, Nebula and SecuReporter as you're looking for this kind of information. Rodney asks, can you block URLs? And absolutely. So with the security appliance, it provides you a full suite, the entire range of what you would expect in a network security appliance. It is something that I would say it's like bringing enterprise type functionality and features back to the small business side for customers who are on the same internet. I say, why does enterprise get all this benefit of all these technologies when the mom and pop shop is sitting on the same internet as well and facing some of these threats as well, right? We're all facing that same kind of thing. And I know many of you who've installed any kind of IT device, if you put a router there that you can see traffic or threats hitting it, brand new IP address, you put a new router there, you're going to get hit logs. Your logs will get fired up in like 4 seconds, right? That's how prolific it is, on the internet. So not having protection is a big risk. It's centralized and provisioned. When you're using our cloud, it helps to simplify things like VPN connectivity, management, synchronizing policies. So let's say if you have a customer that has multiple stores, multiple sites, multiple locations that you want to be able to synchronize those kinds of policies, who has access to VPNs to what devices, what content filtering services, what URLs they can go to, what you want to block, applications control so that they can't use BitTorrent or any kind of peer-to-peer downloads to download illegal music or videos, those kinds of things. Maybe some of you are getting some of those cease and desist notices. How do you manage all of that within multiple customers? Now, if you only have like a single customer or you're like an IT person and you're just managing your own company, Nebula is still for you because it does give you that visibility that you would not have gotten before, and gives you just further more information without having to build your own backdoors, build your own way to get into these networks to see this information. But now the power is when you're managing multiple customers who have potentially multiple sites that you have to download, or make sure that the configurations are backed up. Make sure that when you do have to do a replacement, it's easy to do. And it's a matter of just swapping hardware in that kind of site to adopt the new profile. For remote access, it makes it very simple for you, again, to control the authentication. If you have to do two-factor authentication, you want to be able to do VPN with SSL or IPsec VPN, or being able to use native VPNs on devices to be able to make connections to these firewalls. We also offer what we call secure Wi-Fi, where you could drop an access point, one of our pro access points that support secure Wi-Fi, into any network, and it can build a tunnel through that existing network from inside out back to the firewall, and now becomes a remote, hotspot, or a remote location as an extension of that office. So imagine being able to set this up at home without having to change their router or put any port forwarding or install any VPN software within those devices that are using this. You can use 802.1x authentication. They would connect to that SSID as they would in the office, and securely. It would encrypt it, tunnel through automatically back to the office, and now they have kind of seamless integration to use those resources that they would normally use while sitting in the office. I'll pass it back to Sean on kind of why that our Nebula architecture is beneficial to you.
Yeah, so we get a lot of questions about Nebula and using it with things like PCI or HIPAA compliance. So that's what this slide is kind of there to help answer that and some other questions that we often get. So we'll start with, we are hosted on Amazon Web Services. This is not a cloud platform or cloud infrastructure that we have built internally. We're using Amazon, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cloud hoster out there, and one of the most reliable. So because of that, basically there's unlimited scaling. There are no bottlenecks. We get questions, well, when I go from 500 users, to 10,000 users, is everything going to slow down? Am I going to have to pay for a new tier of service? And the answer is no. We're just automatically going to scale on that for you. Another question we often get is, well, what happens when the internet goes down? The customer's fiber gets cut, whatever it happens to be. And the short answer to that is nothing happens. Everything continues to function just as it was before the internet got cut. Obviously, with the internet down, our ability to make configuration changes goes away, and our ability to capture some of that log information goes away until the connection is restored. But the hardware itself will continue to function. Even on very long outages. We've had reports from our customers at certain other cloud solutions. After a certain period of time, if they can't authenticate with the cloud, verify a license, just go offline. We do not do that. We have questions about the security. So rather than create, again, something in-house that you just have to trust us on, we use an industry standard called NetConf, which handles the security and encryption of the data between our hardware appliances and our cloud management platform to make sure that it is secure and that it remains private. So the question we get a lot is, HIPAA, PCI, things like that. Can we use your cloud solution? The answer is absolutely yes. And the reason for that is because none of the customer's traffic is touching our cloud. So any traffic that's supposed to be on the LAN stays on the LAN. Any traffic that's supposed to go out to the internet goes directly out to the internet. The only traffic between our units and our cloud is that management stuff, configuration changes being pushed out, logs being uploaded to be stored in the cloud, and that is it. So because of that, there are no issues when it comes to those certifications. And if you are dealing with customers in other countries, we are, for instance, in Europe, GDPR compliant. And basically in every country that we operate, we are compliant with whatever the current local laws are when it comes to security requirements, privacy requirements, and data storage and retention requirements. So just to sort of summarize here, the value proposition for Nebula is it's simple. It makes it easier for you to deploy networks. It makes it easy for you to configure networks, and it makes it easier for you to stay on top of your customers' networks and offer proactive solutions. It's super easy to implement, saving you time. A number of tools and wizards we have dramatically reduce the time it takes to set up a new network. And we make it easy for you to keep an eye on your customers and on their networks. And it's affordable, right? The core version is free. And even when we're looking at our high-end POPAC optional licenses for the cloud, they are cheaper than any other comparable cloud-hosted solution that's out there today.
So we are excited to offer to you. We saw 60% of you primarily manage these devices, these networking devices on the device itself. So in the device GUI, so a very traditional way. And only 20% of you have used it in the cloud, and 20% not really at all. So what we want to offer to you is we know that once our partners become partners and utilize the Nebula platform, whether it just be one device or one of the three kind of offerings here, they fall in love with the platform. So Nebula, what we're going to give to you is we're doing a risk-free 60-day trial of Nebula demo kits. We want to get into your hands a firewall, switch, and an access point that could be utilized within Nebula, show you and let you see how easy it is to onboard that. And then also the interface, being able to log in and have a worlds of information at hand. So again, if you're in that break fix model, there's almost no reason, since there's no cost, even on that free tier, to not have visibility. And this will give you a great kind of offering to your customer in the sense that imagine being able to offer your customer the ability that you can call them to let them know when something is down before they call you and ask, why is my Wi-Fi not working? And you not having kind of the ability to kind of go in and look at or see very easily what's going on and having to kind of roll a truck out there. So the customer satisfaction portion of it and you being able to serve your customers is going to go way up because of that. So we're offering this, again, 60-day, no questions asked. After 60 days, if you decide you don't like it, great. We'll send you a return label for you to send that back to us. If you want to keep it, we are giving you then a 40% discount offer on that just to keep the hardware for your lab, or you can move it over to your customers. Rodney does ask, all these SKUs are currently available with D&H. Yes. So those models are there. You'll see them, that you see the model numbers here, the Nebula demo kit G1, MG1, MG2. You can also download this flyer in the file share that's part of this webinar. And please download that, as well as a brochure that talks about the Nebula platform, kind of the summary of what we've kind of presented as well. But we offer 3 kits, the SMB, SMB Plus, and SMB Pro. So I want to talk about what's kind of the main differences between them. And then we're going to go about and talk about for the rest of the time just the individual products, again, just to highlight why we're giving these away this way. So again, free 60 days for you to try out, no cost to you, we'll ship it to you, and all of that. I think for D&H, you have to just go through, there is a QR code there on that flyer that takes you to the sign up page, and you just have to register for it. We'll send that unit out to you and coordinate with your DISTI D&H sales rep there as well. So on the SMB side, it's kind of a gigabit solution where, for customers who aren't looking for anything too complex, your customer base might be just needing basic gigabit connectivity. You want to test gigabit switches, firewalls, access points, and maybe they have lower internet speeds anyway. So gigabit is plenty. So you'll get a USG Lite 60AX, you'll get a gigabit GS 1915-8EP, which is a PoE switch with 8 ports, and a Wi-Fi 6 access point, an NWA 50AX Pro. So that's kind of the lowest entry cost that we're kind of giving away to you to try out. Now, to reiterate too, you can choose one or all three. So you can choose one of each if you'd like to test, because you have different types of customers. So again, you can take advantage of that. The SMB Plus moves you into the gigabit space, multi-gigabit space. So it still gives you the USG Lite 60, but then it gives you a multi-gig XMG 1915 10 EP, which is a 10 port multi-gigabit PoE switch that can then power up our Wi-Fi 7 access point, the NWA 130BE. And so that's recommended for anybody who's, again, looking at moving into that multi-gig space, or maybe they have internet connectivities that's beyond gigabit that you want to test out. And then we have our SMB Pro, which actually a lot of our customers have already been pulling from. It gives you a multi-gig capable firewall. So our USG Flex 200H, it's the full business UTM suite, which I'll talk about when we get to that product line introduction. It gives you a multi-gig PoE switch, and again, the same multi-gig Wi-Fi 7 access point. So there's lots of reasons why to try. We've kind of reiterated that with the beginning of this, but really there's no risk for you. That 60-day trial for you to be able to test drive these products, test drive Nebula. I always tell partners that technology will come and go. You'll have Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7 today. There's going to be Wi-Fi 8, Wi-Fi 9, and who knows when. And switches and technologies get faster, and all of that will continue to change. But how you have that core networking management solution kind of will hold those things together. As you replace products, it will just kind of integrate within that same within that same core management function. Zyxel offers limited lifetime warranties on all these business products, free tech support, no support contracts. So again, there's really no cost, no reason not to try and give us a chance on testing out this platform. Becoming a Zyxel partner is free. There's nothing for you to buy. There's nothing for you to maintain, in a sense, to become a partner. You do have different tiers. So when you do, if you're a brand new partner, we give you silver partner discounted pricing through D&H. So there's no cost there. And if you maintain certain sales levels, which we put it at, very kind of, I would say kind of low barriers there for you to maintain even silver, or move up to gold, because then that can give you up to 20% margin selling Zyxel business class products and hardware and software.
All right, so we'll talk a little bit about some of the products that are in those kits. So in that entry-level kit, it comes with the NWA 50AX Pro access point. So this is our entry-level Soho Wi-Fi 6 access point. It's not going to blow any minds with performance. It doesn't have some of the advanced features our other APs do, like smart antenna technology. And it is going to be missing some features that you would normally find in our SMB class products, such as there's no captive portal or load balancing. So I know it sounds like I'm talking down about it. So why is it in this kit? So it's in this kit because it allows your VARs to easily be able to get in there and see the AP interface. Well, some of the features aren't there, most of them are. And so they're able to see just how easy it is to manage an access point through our cloud interface. The other reason it's there is because it comes bundled with a AC adapter, so it can be powered on and used without needing PoE or even an Ethernet connection back to the router that were bundled in that kit. Instead, it can create a wireless mesh. And one of the things we found is when it comes to these smaller Soho or small office type deployments, they often don't have the switching infrastructure or the money to deploy new switching infrastructure to expand their wireless network beyond what can be reached by the initial router. So this is a great way for them to test out our mesh, our smart mesh technology that's part of Nebula, and see how that works and how easy it is to extend the wireless network on these entry-level kits. The other two kits are coming, are coming with the NWA 130BE. So this is an entry-level tri-radio Wi-Fi 7 access points. This is a great way for them to be able to experience Wi-Fi 7 and see just how fast and performative it can be, even on the entry-level access points. It is tri-band, so it supports clients in the standard 2.4 and 5, and can simultaneously support users on the new 6 gigahertz. So a lot of products today still don't support 6 gigahertz, but newer cell phones, um, newer laptops do. And there's a lot of benefit in the future towards moving to 6 gigahertz due to the amount of bandwidth that's available in 6 gigahertz and the ability to deploy full speed wireless solutions without having to deal with the interference issues that you run into on 2.4 and on 5 gigahertz. So speeds on it are, on the wireless side of things, are BE 1100, so basically greater than 10 gig throughput on wireless to wireless. It does have a 2.5 gig multi-gig uplink port. It does require some PoE power to be able to power it up and get it going. And it also has a pass-through port. So again, this is another way to save a little bit of money. You can do one cable drop from your switch to the room where the access point is going to be installed, and then you can use the second port to then daisy chain it to another device or another Ethernet outlet in that area, saving you from needing to run a second cable run. So it's a really great access point there to give people a taste of Wi-Fi 7.
And because of that need of PoE power, we also then give you basically a PoE switch. So the 1915 series is our most affordable cost cloud-based switch. So it's an entry level with a gigabit. We do have a full range of that. We're going to give you the 8EP in this particular case, but we do have 24 port versions of that. And then when you get to the multi-gig space, our XMG 1915 is again the most cost-effective multi-gig capable switch. It gives you multi-gig ports, 2.5 gig with 10 gig uplinks using SFP plus fiber. It's part of that Nebula can give and deliver up to 60 watts of PoE on ports and a larger power budget for that. So it's more than enough to power up those access points that we're giving you as the solution. And we do have additional 24 port versions as well. And then on the security side, the USG Lite 60AX is that first SMB and the SMB Pro demo kits. This is kind of a, I would say, all-in-one box for small office, small home office, or even a retail store, coffee shop that just needs a firewall that built in with wireless in there. So this this device has built-in ransomware protection, free as part of the solution without having any extra without the need for subscription. As built-in mesh, so any of those access points that we also give you to try out, you can use to mesh to this as well. So as long as there's getting power, the devices are getting power, you can create a network mesh, or if you wanted to add additional APs, you can get additional ones to add further to increase your coverage area without having to run a cable directly to the device. It provides you multi-gig 2.5 on the WAN and on the LAN. You can use it for VPN. And then there's an optional elite pack, which adds on like content filtering services and like 0-day ransomware like threat protection on the device at about $50 a year. So it's really kind of a low cost entry level firewall for you. So that's kind of the elite pack, gives you that web filtering ransomware protection, and it gives you the Nebula Pro as well. So that's all added into there. And then on the Pro bundle that we are giving away, we include a USG Flex 200, which is part of our USG Flex 200H series. It's an ultra high performance platform. It can deliver on the highest end up to 15 gigabits of SPI throughput. UTM is about 4 gig UTM. The 200H will basically give you multi-gig, or at least over a gig UTM connectivity with multi-gig ports. So the reason why we gave you the 200 is the first line in the switch that gives you a 2.5 gig capable port or ports. So that's where we wanted you to kind of maximize that multi-gig functionality that's available. Rodney did ask, so any hardware Cat 5 Plus modifications needed? Only for the PoE side, certain Cat cabling, you just need to make sure that you have the right Cat cabling to deliver longer distances for the power or for the data amount that you need. If you're getting to 10 gig, that's when it kind of becomes more of the problem, where you need Cat 5e or Cat 6 to go to that. So this is kind of the spread of the portfolio of our security products. You can see, again, we have a full suite there to fit your customer needs. We're giving you kind of that mid-tier firewall in the middle with the 200H and the performances that are available there for that product. So again, we really want you to try, get the units in your hand, be able to test out not only the product technologies themselves, but ultimately see how easy it is to deploy and to manage it within our Nebula Cloud platform so you can standardize on your network stack. So I did mention our partner program. We have a bronze, a silver, and a gold tier. You can see the qualifying sales to just maintain that is in 6 months is 6K. So if you're doing 1K of Zyxel products per month, then you'll stay within the silver tier. If you're doing 2K a month on Zyxel products across the board there, then you're going to hit that gold tier. So that's kind of that entry to get that maximum discount there, and you get further accesses to like NFRs, demos, demo kits, lead referrals, system engineer access, all of that. We're here to serve you, and we're set up for the channel. So we're divided into different account managers that manage the 3 different regions. David, Andy, and Jacob, they manage the East, the West, and the Central regions, and also the East manages the Canada regions as well. So we're here to provide you and work with DNH and the sales reps there, and with the specialist over at DNH to have to work through everything: pre-sales, post-sales support, warranty informations, RMAs, tech support. If you need to help build out applications or suggestions on what products to use, we bring on a system engineer to meet with you and your customer if needed to discuss what products would be the best fit for that. So we are running kind of low on time, but if you did have any questions, you can continue to send that over on the Q&A, or offline if you want to reach Sean or myself. You can email us. It's seanr@zyxel.com, or you can reach me, try@zyxel.com.
Thank you, Try. That was a great Try, and Sean, thank you for all the information. Good information that you guys give to us, but here's something else that we offer to you, the resellers. I'm Wendy Shelton. I'm one of the senior sales specialists here at DNH. I'm a DNH employee, but I actually kind of consider myself more as a liaison, where I work directly with you as the reseller, as well as our DNH sales teams, and then the vendor. It's a nice bridge that we can all work together, easily accessible. You'll see right there on the screen, it's simply zyxelspecialist@dnh.com. Send any questions that you may have, or concerns, or just anything that will help us help you get in contact with Zyxel, know more about the product line. And I also work directly with the sales team, so even if you're not too sure who you might be working with, I can help you with that as well. So thank you very much. Please reach out at any time. I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
And it's a great partnership that Zyxel has with DNH, and we look forward to seeing some of you, maybe becoming partners, and how we can help you and working with DNH on any of your networking needs. So I appreciate the time and being able to present here to you.
Yeah, sounds great, everybody. We had a great showing today. Appreciate the interactions, a lot of great questions, a lot of great content. You got your contact info to reach out if anything else should come up, but looking forward to working together on some future project with Zyxel, and we're excited that we were able to all talk and chat today. Everybody have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.